at ball release. So once the bowler is just about to release the ball, where's the batter's setup? What is his position? So what I mean by that is he aligned? Is his whole body, his feet, shoulders, hips, head, all aligned with the bowler? I think that is a fundamental, because if your alignment's right, I think the rest of the bat path swing can be in a easy movement towards the ball. I also think they'll be able to shift their weight, easier forward and back if they're in a line. If their feet, for example, are really open, the hips are open, but their shoulders are aligned, naturally everything's going to come across the ball. Another key to playing fast bowling is, again, playing very late. You want to play the ball under your eyes. You want to try and let the ball not run past that cone. So what I mean by that is you're going to have to play the ball really late under your eyes and drop the ball around you. Whatever area you feel is your boundary option, really make that as a go-to. If the guy pitches in the area, 7 out of 10 times it's going to be a boundary.
So Cricket Life Stories with me, Neel Khagram. Today we're joined by Greg Smith, Northants lead batting coach. Greg, how's it all going?
Yeah, not bad, man. Thanks for having me. It's been good, and today's even better because the sun's out for a change.
The sun's out, taste of British summer. So Greg, we're going to talk about some batting technical fundamentals, some tips potentially young up-and-coming cricketers can take from this. When it comes to, if you strip it all the way back, what are the basic fundamentals, techniques that a young player should be looking at, and some of the faults you perhaps see in those coming through the ranks? Yeah,
look, I think every individual's got their own technique. I think you can't, not one mold fits all. I think that's important to probably recognise. But then the fundamentals and the basics that I look at it as for young guys coming through our academy pathways and through to our senior stuff is making sure that at ball release, so once the bowler is just about to release the ball, where's the batter's setup? What is his position? So what I mean by that is he aligned? Is his whole body, his feet, shoulders, hips, head, all aligned with the bowler? I think that is a fundamental, because if your alignment's right, I think the rest of the bat path swing can be in a easy movement towards the ball. I also think they'll be able to shift their weight, easier forward and back if they're in a line. If their feet, for example, are really open, the hips are open, but their shoulders are aligned, naturally everything's going to come across the ball. So I think, to keep it simple, as I quite like to keep things simple, as long as everything is in a line, in a straight line, I think you're onto a winner there.
Where are you with the whole open versus closed setup?
Again, it depends on what kind of level of play you're talking about. I mean, you've seen lots of players in the international game. They might be quite open, but their shoulders are, aligned and their bat path comes down straight. So I think it's individual. Look, at the end of the day, as long as you're nice and still at ball release, and you can be able to shift your weight either forward or back, I think that's the key. So if you're struggling to do that and you're falling across, then there's things that technically wise you can look at a batter and say, well, can you change their hip movement or their shoulder position to stop that player particularly falling over? So as I say, as long as their alignment is straight and they can transfer their weight forward and back easy, I think they're in a good position.
What about trigger movements? Where are you on that? I've heard a lot of coaches, some that say best to stay still, or when a fast bowler's coming out, sometimes you've got to have that little bit of movement. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, again, me personally, I like a little bit of a trigger just to create your body wants to move. Biomechanically, your body wants to move. But again, I've did it when I was playing. I had a trigger and I got stuck from coming forward and I got LBW a few times. So I then wanted to stand still.
What about judging line and length? Is it all about, is there any clues that a batter can maybe get from I
suppose you can see where the bowler's releasing the ball from. But again, I mean, if we're being honest, a lot of the time it's kind of natural. I think you pick it up. The more you play, it becomes natural. The more you play, the more you face bowlers, I think you'll gauge what sort of line and length they're going to play. So a little drill that youngsters can do, which is good because it sees where their weight and their balance is. It's sort of a no-feet drill, so you can get someone to underarm the ball that bounces 2, 3, 4 times. So you're transferring your weight forward into the ball and making sure if you're off balance, when you're hitting the ball too early, you'll find that you end up moving your feet. And then the sweeping drill is exactly the same. Get someone, probably 1.5 meters in front of you, just bobble feeds and get the ball to try and sweep on first bounce, and making sure that you just try and replicate the action as much as you can. You can do that both, even standing still with your knee in the background and just sweeping through and just changing your hands. Like I said, youngsters have to be able to adapt, and they've got to be able to play all the shots around the ground and have as many tools in the bag as they can. The drill you could do for playing spin, if you're facing an offie, you get someone to chuck over or around the wicket, it doesn't really matter. Set some cones sort of long on mid-wicket, and be able to, once the guy releases the ball, using your feet, be able to hit the ball into mid-wicket or down the ground to long on for a run. You want to look to be, in one-day cricket now in particular, you don't want as a coach, you want to see players having the minimal dot ball. Another key to playing fast bowling is, again, playing very late. You want to play the ball under your eyes. You want to try and let the ball not run past that cone. So what I mean by that is you're going to have to play the ball really late under your eyes and drop the ball around you. It means you're in a good position and you're playing the ball late. If you're kind of jabbing at the ball and the ball goes past there, obviously your hands are taken over and what they say, you've got hard hands. So it's another nice little drill that you can do. And then, yeah, if you want to practice at the death, guys all want to hit big sixes and they call it these big bombs these days. Again, it's important to have a nice surface to practice on. So, the surface today here was a little bit tricky. So to practice death hitting is quite hard. We've just seen a few players walk past us now. They're going in the indoors where the surface is true. They'll put the Merlin on and whatnot on a decent length, probably hip height, and just practice your swing, getting into, as I said, into good alignments, ensure that your weight is transferred into the ball and you can be able to swing through the ball. So again, it's just practice. Practice makes it easy. If the more you practice, the luckier you'll get. I think Gary Player once said that. It's a nice quote. But the harder you practice, the easier it'll be in a game. So death hitting, practice wide Yorkers. Guys are now practicing wide Yorkers. So being able to access, using your bat, your hand to scoop, all these little things you got to be able to practice. So, bowling machine balls is very key. And then once you've mastered that, come on, face bowlers and try and do the same thing. Whether you're saying to the bowlers they're bowling at the death, and you picture your field, if mid-off's up, access that position. Bowls at full, I'll say, try and squirt it past point or use the scoop shot or fine leg up nowadays. So it's just having that game awareness of what bowlers are trying to do. And then being able to access that yourself as a batter. But the skill is to be able to do it under pressure. So again, you've got to practice hard on those fundamentals, and whatever area you feel is your boundary option, really make that a go-to. If the guy pitches in the area, 7 out of 10 times it's going to be a boundary.